Hello, my beautiful friends. I am in LA. It is January 3rd or so, I believe, and I have just returned from a marathon trip through the coast. I was in Point Reyes, South Point State Park. I was in Jackson Demonstration Forest. I made it all the way up to Oregon and circled around to Mount Shasta and then came back down to LA. And it is raining in LA. It has been raining in LA. I've already taken my kids and their friends out for a couple of walks here, right in LA, in Topanga Canyon, searching for mushrooms. We did find a bunch of awesome ones. But today the kids are with their dad and it is raining. I could be out there, but I decided that I have so much information to process to make all the videos for you that I must stick to it and stay at home, stay put. So yesterday and today I've been just cranking up, it's probably like turning up, cranking out, whatever you call that, working on the videos basically. And as I said, it is an enormous amount of work, especially when it comes to going to new places and discovering mushrooms that I don't know anything about. It takes a while to do a bunch of research about them and then double, triple, quadruple check everything and put all the videos together, including the music and the sound and whatever. You don't need to know that. I enjoy the process. I do. Now, because sometimes it takes a little while for me to put them all together, I decided that in between, I'm going to create a series of videos where I answer most common questions about foraging. And these are questions that people ask me directly. So these are not most common questions about foraging all around, which I'm sure they're very much the same, but these are the questions that I hear the most. So let me know in the comments below whether you would like to listen to these types of series between my more structured videos about identification of mushrooms and where to forage, or not. And please be kind with your comments. I know not everyone likes my philosophizing style, so if you don't, just don't watch it. But if you do find this somewhat useful and fun to watch, then please put thumbs up, drop a comment to encourage me to make more of these. So to let me know that I should make more of these or not. So far, as I was driving, I was thinking about these questions and I have about 10, 11 most common questions that people ask me. And each episode we will answer one of them. Now today's question is the most popular question and probably one of the most, the question that I love answering the most, especially being the great philosophizer that I am. I'll tell you what the question is and then I'll begin to answer it. So the question is, aren't you scared to be in the woods by yourself? How about the wildlife? Very simple, right? Simple and popular. Everybody's worried about going into the woods by themselves. Everyone is always wondering about the wildlife. And this is my answer to this question. It's going to be sort of a loaded answer. Because everything you meet in the forest, everything you see in the forest is a sort of direct reflection of what's inside, right? You may find the forest abundant, or you may find the forest to be empty, right? You may find the forest to be beautiful, even no matter the weather, regardless of the conditions within, right, outside, based on your condition within, right? You might see everything as beautiful or everything as ugly and boring. And same goes with wildlife. And if you fear something, forest is the best place to manifest those fears, right? They will be manifest in front of you. Now, the energy of fear is one of the strongest manifestational forces out there. So if you have an internal fear, let's say of bears, chances are that you will get into the forest and it will manifest in front of you. Not in a way that it's going to be harmful, right? But you will either hear a sound, you will maybe feel the presence. Maybe your manifestation power is so strong that you're actually manifesting an encounter with the bear. So for that reason, I think that the best way to go into the forest, not all the time, but sometimes, is to actually go by yourself. Because when you are with a group of people, depending on which fears they have, you will participate in that experience together, right? So as you're walking as a group, if you're already fought your fear, your internal fear of wildlife, and worked on all of the fears, and you're walking around knowing that nature is not going to harm you, but you're walking around in a group of people and someone out there is like terrified of bears and bears, chances are you can probably have that experience along with your papuchik, meaning along with your co-pilot, along with someone who is walking along with you, right? So a hiking buddy. And that's why I love going by myself, because I worked on these fears and I see how they manifest. So I'm not scared of the wildlife. But I didn't get there overnight, right? It was a long journey of working on my fears internally to then have this feeling of safety when I'm out there by myself in the woods. And I know that life doesn't happen to me, life happens from me and through me. So everything I see on the outside is a direct reflection of everything that is happening inside. So if, let's say, I'll give you a perfect example. So I'm not scared of the bears. I, first of all, worked on that fear. I know that they are not out there to harm me. I am very well educated on everything that can happen if you encounter a bear, right? So I'm not just like turning a blind eye onto that. What I do is actually educate myself and have this feeling of preparedness. And this feeling of preparedness goes hand in hand with my lack of fear. The more prepared you are, the less afraid you are. And this preparedness, the preparedness does not manifest the experience. If you're ready to face something, it doesn't mean that you're gonna face it. Chances are you're not gonna face it at all, because you're prepared and you know everything that's like how to do things. Now, if you're unprepared, that will probably you will probably manifest the experience so that it can prepare you for the future, so you can finally be prepared every time you go, right? So it's a funny way how the world works in this way. Now, I'll tell you that this particular way of thinking, it doesn't come from nowhere. I think we all have our journeys, and some of these journeys are very physically challenging. Some of these journeys are challenging mentally. Some of these journeys are spiritual journeys. They have this constant these constant spiritual lessons that you're going through. Now, when I look, for example, at a video of, which I do, look at the videos of people climbing Mount Everest, I see that they've chosen the most physical manifestation of the same journey we all take. They chose the most physically challenging manifestation of the same journey that someone might have internally, right? To climb the highest mountain. They completely externalize the experience. And when they get to go to the mountain with their guides and Sherpas, they have to follow the rules. They have to go as a team. They have to listen to their guides. They basically, everything gets tested. Everything that you've ever learned in your life, from when you were a child, from when you started going to school, from when your parents started teaching you, while you were taking your first steps, all these lessons, like be mindful, be careful, don't rush, one step at a time. Listen to the guidance, listen to your teachers, learn how to listen, right? Learn how to listen to your environment, let the environment speak, be clear, allow. I mean, there's so many lessons, and all of those lessons, I feel like when you're ready, when you were like, okay, I'm ready to try to reach the next level, to the highest peak of my experience, right? And your experience can be anything. Then you decide that to either go on a very physical journey, like climbing Mount Everest, or on the same journey, but internally, spiritually. Now, and then all of this gets tested, including all of your fears, because in my experience, in my opinion, in my knowledge, whatever happens to you there is that one thing that you've allowed in, right? So it's, if there is something bad that's going to happen, it's because you've allowed that in and you haven't worked through it, right? So if somebody falls, in my personal opinion, it is because they haven't worked, they're terribly afraid of that, and they have not worked that out within themselves, and it actually happened, right? So you're going to face it. You're going to face the challenge that will require everything from you. And I'm not saying that going mushroom foraging is like that, but in a way, we pick and choose everything that is the same, only it is our limit, right? So for me, going into the forest by myself and having the experience of foraging mushrooms and going, deeper or closer within, it doesn't really matter, because when you're out there by yourself, you're out there by yourself. Doesn't matter how deep in the forest you are, right? So it is a certain challenge that tests my preparedness in life. It is a great joy to get prepared for it. And everything up until this, me going into the forest like that, which I started doing that again in my life several years ago. Everything has up to this point, it has been a preparation, and the preparation never stops. The lessons never stop, really. But you're constantly tested, but in a way that is not dangerous, right? And I chose, instead of a very physical manifestation, like let's say going to the highest mountain in the world, like the Everest, climbing that mountain, I'm climbing an internal mountain. I chose a spiritual path, which is just as challenging. Now, the spiritual path is manifesting on the outside as going into the unknown, right? Going into the unknown, but being safe about it. So when I'm out there, it usually is a continuation of a deep spiritual experience that I've just undergone. So when I get out into the physical already, I know that I've already worked through some lessons, and as I am going, as it is happening in the physical, there is no danger because I understand the process. I understand the symbolic meaning of things. I understand that if I didn't work on this specific fear this many days ago, then there is a potential that I might have ended up in a, slightly uncomfortable situation in the forest, like maybe encountering a wildlife. But because I know I did, it becomes just a very pleasant experience. So this is a very long way of answering the question and saying that, okay, if you have a fear of something, you will probably see it in the forest. Forest is a great manifestational environment. It will bring out on the outside everything that's within you. And another great example is one of my kids has a little fear of bears. Like, he's not very, very, very comfortable. He's like the one who's like, maybe let's just sleep in the hotel. Maybe let's not camp. He'll camp, but he'd rather not. And guess what? Every time we go out there with him, we always see little bears. We always encounter little bears, and I already know this, so I'm prepared completely. I have my tools that can potentially protect us. I don't think that we will ever need that, but just in case, it's best to be prepared than to be underprepared and not know what to do. But I had another experience, and these fears, they will try to manifest through you because they want to have a life, right? They want to have this experience with you in the forest. They want to have an experience with you in the physical. So they will try to manifest through you, and this internal cleansing, it never really stops. You're always working on some sort of fear, and as soon as you work through one, there's going to be another one trying to get in. I'll give you an amazing example. I was researching a specific mushroom from South Point State Park Forest, and I came across a beautiful article. But within this beautiful article, a gentleman was talking about, he disclosed the location, but I don't know whether people do it sometimes to actually share or maybe to deter people from going to a certain place after they've already disclosed their location. But he was saying that, the forest is really like, that forest is not as pleasant as everybody might think, because there are a lot of like cannabis growers that are out there, and people are police is searching for them, so they might think that you're one of them, or you might run into them. This is his internal experience, right? So this is not what you're reading or what you're hearing from me right now. This is not your truth. This is not my truth. This is not how I've ever experienced or will experience the forest. This is how he experiences the forest because of some certain internal issues that he has. So that's how he's going to describe it, because to him it is the truth. So he's describing this forest as being this way, and then he's also talking about wild boars, wild pigs roaming around the forest, and him being, aware of that fact. And as I'm reading this, and it's a fabulous article, he wrote so well, but as I'm reading this, I'm realizing that, here comes the new fear trying to get in. Here comes the fear of wild boars, right? That I didn't yet have, but now that I'm not afraid of bears or wildcats, or, I'm aware of their presence, I know that they are not going to attack me. They're not out there to search for me, that I'm going to do everything with the most with the most education as I possibly can, with the most preparedness as I possibly can, to make sure that I'm not crossing onto their territory and so on and so forth. But here's this new fear of wild boars, that is trying to enter my environment, my space, my internal space, and to manifest itself through me. Okay, I already know how to work with these things. I understand that they also would like to have an experience, and I'm starting this internal dialogue, saying that this fear is not my fear, and I've been into this forest many times. I've never thought or knew about the wild boars, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But now that I know, it doesn't mean that this experience is going to manifest through me. It can manifest through people who are not going to work on this specific experience. But I will do my research and see what happens. Next thing I know, I'm in South Point State Park. I have not researched the wild boar situation. But this little fear, right, it runs through my experience by me reading that article. It just ran through my experience. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm not even thinking about it, sorry. I'm not thinking. I didn't do any research about wild boars. I just allowed it to just pass through me and leave the same way. Now, as I am in South Point State Park, gathering mushrooms, I go into a new patch. I find a new patch a little bit deeper in the forest, a little bit further away from where everyone is. And I'm working in that patch, and I'm taking videos, and I'm talking to the mushrooms, and I'm, enjoying the process. And all of a sudden I hear like this. Immediately, I'm like, okay, did I somehow picked up a fear? Because fear is very contagious, just so you know. And the contagious part, the way you pick up somebody's fear is by judging them. So if unintentionally, even unintentionally, you judge someone, which maybe I did by, reading this person's beautiful article and thinking, well, it's his problem, maybe that was some sort of in some way judgmental. So the moment you do that, and the moment you judge somebody's fears, somebody working through their fears, it's like you just opened up a channel for the fear to come to you, so that you can have the same experience and decide for yourself how you're going to feel about it. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I've contaminated myself with that fear through some sort of internal judgment of the situation, or there is another thing that was happening at the moment. At the moment, as I was there, and there were no people around, all of a sudden there was a family that was passing by, a family with children who are normally afraid of little things in the forest, who could have possibly manifested this little something that was happening in the distance from me, but I did hear the specific sound of what might be a wild pig or a boar. It wasn't very nasty. I checked out, now I'm prepared for it, right? So I talked to the sound first. I was like, hi, I'm here. I'm gathering mushrooms here. Please don't be surprised if you run into me right now. Internally, of course, my heart rate raised a lot, which the moment that happens, I know I have to leave the forest, because that means that I'm gonna start manifesting like crazy right now, and I don't need to be manifesting anything dangerous. So I need to get myself into the place of safety, which is the main trail, and get my heart rate down, look around, breathe in, breathe out, and then, only then, continue going back into the places unknown. As I ran out from the forest, I saw the two little girls standing waiting for their parents, who went just a little bit above there into the forest, and I just said hello to them, and I was like, did they manifest this just now? and I'm just in their manifestation, because kids are the strongest manifestors. Or that's why it's very important to work on their fears and make sure that they're not afraid, right? And there's no better way than to lead by example and actually get very, very prepared for any situation. Study the animal, study the true story about how the interactions of animals and people, right? And fight all of your internal fears, and then show through this example of how calm you are that nothing bad is happening while you guys are in the forest, right? And this is the only way that I know how to ease somebody's mind, because that's, you can't tell somebody anything, right? They won't believe it if they have this internal fear that they haven't worked through yet. There's nothing you can do. You know, it's a part of their journey and they're going to be working through it. The best you can do is to inspire them that there are great outcomes, right? That you can go into the forest and without anything at all bad happening ever. And I believe that I'm walking that path for my children, to not be afraid. But there was this situation, and I saw the girls, I said hello to them, and I went into a different side of the forest as soon as my heart rate went down, and I had the most amazing experience. And yes, I was a little bit afraid to go back into that one little patch. Rightfully so, right? Because maybe that particular patch was near a place where they live, and maybe I shouldn't have been there in the first place. So why would I go back, right? There was definitely a sign that something is going on, either internally or externally, which are completely intertwined. But what it means is, don't go there. Just don't go there. Why? You know, if there's evidence of wildlife right in front of you, then turn around and walk away. That said, I've walked deep into the woods with my mushroom foraging guide, who is completely unafraid of everything and very, very well educated about the forest, the wildlife, the mushrooms, absolutely everything. He's like a super genius. And we've walked by bear scat. I'm not sure how to pronounce that correctly, but that means bear poop, like fresh, lots of it. And it's like nothing. Okay, yeah, they're here. They're not going to, you know, come and attack us. He has a tiny little pepper spray, and he's like, yeah, this is gonna work, but it's the long distance one. But he's never had to use it because he does not have that fear. I got a big pepper spray after talking to somebody who does have a fear. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to just take this just to have it, especially when I'm walking around with kids. I feel like I have that responsibility to carry every tool on me, to know every scenario possible, to study the situation well, and to be able to get out of any situation where realistically people do manifest these sorts of experiences. And of course, besides the internal, besides the manifestational power of fear, there's also things that are there things that are unforeseen? I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide on that. How about that? Because it depends. It depends on your extent of how much you believe that everything happens from you, or is there still that something happens to you? The reason I'm saying it like that, I'll be honest, is again, anytime I'm thinking about those Everest videos and videos when something, you know, people are coming and they're completely prepared in their, as far as their skill level goes, and Are they? And then let's say something happens like an avalanche or something else. Are they really truly prepared, or was there some sort of a fear? Or maybe this particular trip they were taking with some turmoil happening inside, and this is how it showed itself on the outside on this mountain that is such a great manifestor of your internal fears and bringing them out into external environment. So I guess everything is a spectrum, right? And we're always on the spectrum. I'm always on the spectrum, on many spectrums, thinking, was that me, or was that an external circumstance that I had no control over? I always wonder. Sometimes I know more certainly that this was my internal fear externalizing itself like this in specific ways. Sometimes I still question, but whenever I still question, I usually have another experience that proves that I manifested that. Because I didn't work through something within my spiritual path, or I didn't listen to my guides. Kind of like not listening to your guides who tell you turn around on Everest. We're not going to go further because the conditions are not right. I also have guides and inner guidance, and I have to be able to listen. I have to be able to hear it. And every time there is a tiny little bit of the internal voice saying, oh, don't go to that corner, and I don't listen, which is kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, kind of how I felt, like a little bit of unease going into that depth there, because it was new. New is always a little strange and different and unknown, right? But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I should have gone onto that trail where I heard what might be, not necessarily. This might have been just my tiny bit of fear that passed through me as I was reading the article, manifesting itself just as a sound, right? There was no other representation. So it means that the fear is not as strong, but it is there. It is definitely a sign that something is there. But anyhow, I did have this a little bit of like internal feeling that I probably didn't listen to not go into that specific corner. But I always have guidance. I always know where to go, because I know how to listen to my guides and not question them. My apologies, I had to quickly pause the video, but we're back. So yeah, let me see my paper here. I think this is pretty much it. The answer to the question, aren't you scared to be in the woods by yourself? What about being afraid of the wildlife or wildlife encounters? In my journey, in my spiritual path, on my spiritual path that I chose, forest is a manifestational field that really helps me to see what's inside. And when I walk out there into that manifestational field, the field of miracles, the forest of miracles, I usually walk out there after I've internally processed my fears. And when I'm already out there, internally I've already processed my fears, and externally I've already prepared for every possible scenario, however, without fear, right? Just to have this feeling of security, which then outweighs the feeling of fear right? When you're prepared, the fear lowers, the fear minimizes, and then it cannot manifest through you because you've pressed it down with everything that you know and all the tools that you have of your preparedness. So when I get out there into the field, I already feel very calm, and I just have usually incredible experiences, and experiences that I cannot possibly have in the city because of the close proximity of everyone here. It is very hard to see what's your manifestation and when you are in someone's manifestation. When you're by yourself, it's just you, and I think it is such a valuable experience. And if you're going out there thinking that you are entering a foreign environment, then maybe you will have a different experience. When I go out there into the forest, I know that that is my internal environment externalized. I know that everything in the forest is me, and that's how I communicate with it. Not to say that like in a selfish way, but not that it, like everything belongs to me and everything is me, but in a way it is just to say that we're one, and I will take care of the forest, and the forest will take care of me, and our microbiomes, through this interaction, they become one. And through communication, through food, through consumption of the mushrooms that grow in the forest, I receive certain memory activation, certain information, and when I go out there, it's just something so native to me that I don't see it as ever being hostile towards me. It won't be. There's just no possibility of that. The same exact thing can happen in the city, of course. You can have the same exact experience here. It's just I choose to learn about myself in this way, through the organisms in the forest and these beautiful, wonderful interactions with fresh air and the beautiful green color and all the beings that are incredible in the forest. You know, that wild boar, simply because I didn't know much about him, if there was even a wild boar, or if this was just a tiny manifestation of a tiny fear that I have in the form of a sound, that approached me in the form of sound. You know, we see nowadays videos of the most extreme encounters out there, wildlife encounters. Now, when you're looking at those videos, please understand that what you're watching is somebody's internal fear externalized. That's all that is. There is nothing more, nothing less to it. But in the culture of sensationalism, we take it as if this really happened to this person because this environment or this bear or this something is hostile. No, it's this person. It's this person is inside, has this either fear or some sort of unworked issues, and manifested, unknowingly manifested this experience and filmed it on camera and showed it for you. Your experience will be completely different if you're completely different inside. It will never be the same. It will not be the same. And if you've worked through internal issues, and if you're constantly working on your fears, then it's just not going to happen to you. There is no accidents. So there we go. Let me know whether or not you would like to talk more about these types of things, let me see what our next question will be for the next video. Question number 2 in my notes is, how do you know where to go to find mushrooms? Of course, everybody wants to know. And let me know in the comments below whether you like this sort of long rumbling about these very popular questions or not, whether I should stick to these videos in between the more structured, scientifically based mushroom identification videos or not. And please be kind. I know this is not for everybody, but you don't have to be all mean about it, okay? Kindly tell me not to do it, and I'll definitely put it into consideration. Thank you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful new year, and stay happy. As always, meowing out. Bye.